I told you what I felt the Gadsden snake meant when in reference to the Gadsden flag itself, but I just want to talk about the symbol of the snake in general. And people will look at this, oh, it's the serpent, it's a symbol of the devil. Satan's the great serpent. Yeah, biblically, that is true. The serpent is looked at as, Satan biblically and in religious connotations in many cultures, specifically modern Christian culture. But if you look at the historical underpinnings from this story and connect this with the information that I broke out during my cosmic abandonment presentation, there's an alternative interpretation that goes along with the original serpent story of Eden. And as we talked about briefly in the cosmic abandonment series, the brothers, Enlil and Enki, these beings that came here in the ancient past, are attributed by many people to creating humanity and then genetically tinkering with the genetic code of human beings to make them into a slave species. Regardless of what people think of that story, it's the underpinnings of the symbolism that count here as I'm explaining this. Enlil tried to make Enki into the great devil, the adversary to his rule in this story of these two brothers. And that's why he kind of pinned him as the slithering serpent. Many feel Enki was the good guy in the story. As I've said, there were no good guys between these brothers because it was Enki's originally plan to create humanity and genetically modify the beings that were already here. As one of the early parts of this story goes, when Enki first set foot on the earth, one of the first animals that he encountered that he had not ever seen before was a snake. And when he saw that, he took sort of a liking to it because, again, as these accounts go, the skin of these beings was somewhat akin to the skin of a snake, which is why many people have associated them with reptiles, with reptilian-like creatures. But their skin simply had an appearance like, you might say, like a human elbow or knee, but all over. That's what their skin just looked like, which is similar to a reptilian hide. So the story goes that when he first encountered the first animal that he encountered on an alien world, it was a snake. And then when Enki had sort of a little bit of a change in conscience, when he realized how degraded the beings that these other beings, these other intelligent beings who came here from elsewhere had created on the earth were, how completely violent they had become, and the kind of deplorable behaviors that they were enacting upon each other. Enki, much later on, more likely, thousands of years beyond the first time when they started doing these genetic manipulations, because these beings have an enormous lifespan compared to ours. He allegedly had this change in conscience to a point where he wanted to at least try to help educate people according to higher standards of morality and consciousness. And he formed mystery schools to do this, to try to teach the humans how to really interact with each other and to teach them about the laws of nature and to teach them about, the sciences, etc. And these became the first mystery schools, which then, of course, became corrupted and polluted by people who wanted to take that knowledge and use it for advantage over their fellow beings. That's how dark occultism got started. But one of the original secret societies during these times was known as the Brotherhood of the Snake. And it was a brotherhood that came together to try to teach people. Again, they used the snake because this was Enki's symbol back then. And they taught the mystery traditions of consciousness amongst themselves in secret, because many of this knowledge was forbidden by the faction of these beings, the quote-unquote Anunnaki, the ones who came down from the heavens, as the name is translated out of the Sumerian. This brotherhood was considered, illegal. It was considered something that was forbidden. Hence, a secret society had to be maintained. Many of these beings who came here and created us did not want our uplift, did not want people to have this knowledge, which would level the playing field against them while they were still here. So this original society took the symbol of the snake, okay, and it was about higher consciousness. It was about teaching others, and it was about protection among those with a like mind. This is one of the underpinning reasons that I chose this as the symbol for the background of this entire slide presentation, because I think humanity today needs a new Brotherhood of the Snake. As strange as that may sound to some, if you understand the story and you know what this original Brotherhood represented, and don't get me wrong, let's not leave anybody out. It's not just a brotherhood. We need a new community, a new mystery school, if you will, a new brotherhood and sisterhood of the snake. No one is left out of this, of course. People who understand both the non-aggression principle and the self-defense principle equally, and are willing to come together to teach those principles and defend those principles. I think if we create some sort of a new, universal, worldwide community such as that teaches natural law principles, I think we might be able to reverse the trend toward despotism and totalitarianism and tyranny that is so prevalent all throughout the world. So I'll conclude this presentation with that notion and with that hope in mind.